What is up, everybody? We're back to the Nikhil Hogan Show, and again, we have a wonderful, wonderful guest today. We have Pam Oei. She is an accomplished actor, singer, host, producer, and director. And she's had numerous credits on multiple films, television, and theater, and she's won many, many awards. Just examples, she's won many Life Theatre Awards. She won Best Supporting Actress at Me Pak Man the Play. She's been nominated for performances on Boing Boing, Oi Sleeping Beauty. She won Best Actress for Money No Problem. She's appeared in many, many films, and the television credits are numerous. Pam, welcome to the show.
Hi, Nikki. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
And you can call me Nikki because you've actually known me since I was a child.
I have, indeed. I have known
How small
Nikki
was
for
I?
very, very... I think you must have been about 7 years old.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to try and pretend. I'll put on my big boy pants now and ask you some serious questions like a real
that
professional.
That really just shows up my age more than anything.
No. Well, you have had a really remarkable career. And I was telling my fiance, we were walking on the MRT the other day, and we saw your face on the side of the wall. And look at that.
Very large, yeah.
You're a major celebrity here. And I want to talk about, maybe we could talk maybe we could go back, walk down memory lane to how you started, because that's really important for music students and people who want to have a career. They want to know how a person like you, who really achieved so much, how you started. And we can also talk about your latest exciting projects. I really want to get into that later on in the show. So how did you start getting into music and theater and film and television and everything?
Okay, that's interesting because I actually probably did my first gig as a singer before I before I got my first gig as an actor. So it was the Singapore Arts Festival. And there was a Fringe Festival which needed some, new musicians and upcoming musicians to play at the Fringe. Surprise, surprise, one of the people who was scouting for new talent was a lady called Denise Tessenson.
Which my listeners should know is my mom.
Yeah. So I think sometime in 1992, she was scouting around for young musicians to play at the Fringe Festival. It didn't pay any money, but it was great to be able to have a stage and sing.
Did you have singing lessons when you started out?
No, not at all. I'm self-taught.
Wow.
I'm self-taught, yeah. So we sang, I think, 1 or 2 originals, and most of it were covers. And then, the singing thing with a band has always kind of taken a backseat. And then sometime in 1994...
Wait a second, hold on a second. I'm very curious now. So you said you never had any singing lessons. Did you have music lessons at least?
Yes, I did have basic piano lessons until grade 4.
Okay.
So I can kind of sort of wade my way through some notes.
When you were young, around that time, were you jamming with like people as a teenager in bands or anything like that?
Oh, yes. I mean, as a teenager, I hung out with the band boys a lot. The boys who played, who jammed in the afternoons after school. Also, the people who taught me how to smoke, which was really
terrible. Oh no!
Yeah, but that was folly of my youth, and I'm glad I don't smoke anymore.
What kind of? I'm very curious. What kind of music were you listening to with the band at that time, and what kind of influences were you having? What was shaping your voice really?
I think at that time, there was a lot of, let me see, when I was a teenager, there was a lot of the pop, I was listening to the pop. And that would have been Michael Jackson, Bonnie Tyler,
right.
And David Bowie. And always evergreen for me is the Beatles. The Beatles
right.
Always spoke to me, even though it's a generation before me.
Yeah, many generations back.
Yeah, because that they just write amazing melodies. Their melodies are just astounding, as you know, because I know that you're a Beatles fan too.
Oh yeah, I was raised on them. Did you write your own songs at that period?
I did. Actually, when I was 17, I wrote a song called Yellow Flowers, which was many years later recorded on my first album with my now defunct band called Peculiar Remedies. Peculiar Remedies was a folk pop band. And I actually, with the help of the musicians on that band, we arranged Yellow Flowers, and it was something that was actually recorded and published. So when you're in high school, or in Singapore as we call it, secondary school,
right.
Someone brings in a guitar, and you learn that three chords, right?
Right.
The A, G, D, and then you discover, oh wow, I can play like a lot of songs with these, three chords,
and with a capo, you could go crazy,
correct.
right?
You can go to different keys, and then you learn more and more chords. But my
wait, so you can play guitar?
I can play really horrible, simplistic guitar.
Hey, I mean, if you can get those three chords, I mean, really, you can play a lot of music with those three chords.
So, I tried. I expanded. I took guitar lessons. I expanded my vocabulary. But, I never really dug my heels in. I never really got into guitar properly. But I did do some songwriting with those few basic chords that I knew. I mean, of course, my repertoire went beyond the three chords, but it was pretty limited. But I did try and write as many songs as I could with whatever I could bash out on the guitar.
Well, that's awesome. You see, that's that. How did you have that self-starting energy to just come out with a song? And what was that driving motivation?
Well, first you get a chord book. There was no YouTube at the time. We actually had to look at books of paper.
Right.
And look at a chord book, and then press the chords and see what they sounded like to you, whether you like them, and I like the sound of this chord, let's work that into a song,
Yep.
But when I wrote my first song at 17, it's emo stuff. It's about it's angsty emo teenage stuff.
No. In fact, I think that period was maybe like grunge and that kind of stuff. It had. It
was very Pearl Jammy. Yes, it was Pearl Jammy. But I was more into stuff that wasn't my generation. I was really into James Taylor and Beatles.
Right.
And then a little bit later on in my university years in college, I was super into the Indigo Girls.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
Now wait, in college, did you study music?
No, I studied architecture.
Oh wow!
For 6 whole years, and I graduated too with honors.
Oh wow! Wow. Did you were you always playing music during your studies?
No. What I was doing during my studies a lot was acting.
Okay.
Yeah, in 1994, I got into acting. Someone cast me in a small role in a play. It was a comedic role, and I discovered then. I mean, I always knew I had a flair for comedy, but I discovered how pleasurable it was for me to be able to enable people to laugh. I mean, as a comedian, I've learned this through the years.
You have a fantastic stage presence, and did you always have that confidence on stage, or did you have to cultivate that?
I think that a lot of it, part of it, I won't say a lot of it, part of it is my personality. Because I remember being, as a young child, my parents always made me perform. As in, because I could and I would. Not many children would stand up in front of a bunch of strangers and sing the national anthem, for example. You know what I mean? At 2 years old, I knew the words to the national anthem, so I would. So my parents really liked showing me off, and I was their party trick.
Oh no! But that's good training.
Yeah, I guess so. But I guess it also had to do with my personality, because I'm the mother of a 7-year-old son now, and he is terribly shy. There's nothing I could say or do that could make him sing the national anthem in front of nobody. Yeah.
It sounds like me when I was a kid. So anyway. All right. So
you were a very, very sweet kid.
Oh, thank you. I hope everyone's listening to that.
Very sweet.
When it comes to you were doing. Was it fair to say that you were doing all 3 tracks? Television came after acting, or let's put a timeline now. So when you performed at the Fringe,
yeah,
that was before college. Was that around?
Yeah,
okay.
That was around maybe just at the start of college, so like 1992 or 93, I would say.
And then you went into acting, and that was that theater and then television?
Well, I mainly did theater for many, many years.
Right, right.
Yeah. And then television in Singapore is a kind of double-edged sword. Um, it's it's popular, obviously. I mean, it's a
Yeah, you were
mass
on
media.
these major shows, Phua Chu Kang, and these are
Uh,
like all these.
yeah, I mean, they are. But I always feel that in Singapore, television is only so big, and nowadays television is dead.
Right,
Um,
right.
because we have things like Netflix, so not many people watch television anymore.
It's very
Don't know, you think
Yeah, that's right.
so?
It's very fragmented now. Yeah,
That's correct.
yeah.
So that's when I did television mainly because it paid the bills.
Right, right.
I'm not proud of the television that I did because in Singapore I feel that the standard's not great. It's very different from television in the US, for example.
Well, I think you're a great actress, and I wanted to ask you about now. How did you combine music with theater? Did that come natural? Did that come over a period of time, or did you always have an element of musical theater, or were you doing just straight acting, just straight theater?
Actually, I started with straight theater, and I wasn't given a singing role until 1999. So from 94 to 99, it's 5 whole years of being in straight plays without any singing at all. But I think people in the theater knew that I could hold a tune. So I was finally cast in a musical in 1999. And then since then, I've been cast in several musicals. But I think the nice thing for me is
And
that
what was that musical in '99?
it was called Haunted. And the music was written by Mark Chan.
Directed by Casey Lim.
That's right.
Right.
And I played a Filipino maid. I've played many a Filipino maid in my
Yeah, you have this
career.
knack for just. You must have amazing. You don't. Do you have perfect pitch?
I don't have perfect pitch, but I do have a good ear.
You have a good
for
relative
accents.
pitch, right? Relative pitch for you. You can really pick up nuance and inflection, right?
I guess so. I mean, I'm good. I'm good with accents. So in Haunted, I played a Filipino maid. So that was my first of many Filipino roles.
What's it like? Did you when you got into that role and you knew it was going to be the first musical role? How did you feel at that point after doing so much straight theater? Then you transitioned to music theater. Could go back in time? How were you feeling at that moment when you took on that role?
Gosh, I think it's a whole different ball game because usually in musicals, I mean, obviously, apart from the fact that you have to sing, the other thing that really daunted me and continues to daunt me today is there's choreography. I, I, I am not. I don't have two left feet, but choreography doesn't make sense to me. Whereas words do. You know, like you say something and I respond, and then you say that and then I respond. That makes sense to me. I have no problem learning lines, but
Right.
when it comes to choreography, it doesn't make sense to me because I'm not a dancer. So why do I have to step or change and kick and step or change and turn? I don't understand it. My
Right.
body takes some time to memorize it, and I take a longer time to memorize steps than other actors, for example. And many people who have worked with me know this. So before the event of the handphone, the mobile phone,
Yeah.
I used to lug in really huge cameras with tripods to record choreography rehearsals so that I would rehearse at home with the video.
Okay.
And I'm being laughed at all the time.
But there's another thing about that is you have to sing and you have to dance and you have to control your breath, right? You might be out of breath by
Yes.
by everything. How?
Yeah. Sometimes when very often the choreographer doesn't really consider the words that we have to sing. So what happens is that we always learn the singing first. In the musical, everyone sits down and learns the music first. We learn how to sing, we learn the parts.
Right.
And I'm an alto,
Okay.
which means I'm very often, if not always, given the most horrible sounding part
Oh, it doesn't sound close to the melody, right?
at all.
Yeah.
And it's really, if you sing it on its own, my husband has often, when I'm rehearsing with the earphones in my ear and I'm rehearsing my alto part, and he's looking at me like, that can't be right. That can't be right. That can't fit into any song. But it has happened time and again. So after you learn the very horrible alto part, we start memorizing the scenes, and very often in conjunction with memorizing the words of the scene, we have dance rehearsals. So this is when, after we try to combine dance and singing, when we tell the choreographer, okay, this is not possible. I can't do a jump and hit the high note at the same time. It's not possible.
Yeah.
So then he will modify. He will modify the move so that, because the music is the most important. I mean, I think the dance steps are modified to the music more than the other way around.
Okay.
More often than not. Yeah.
So after Haunted, how many performances did you have of Haunted?
I can't remember, but typically in a play, in a musical in Singapore, it's about 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then were you also playing in a rock band at the same time as well?
Yeah, I was. It wasn't a rock band. It was a folk pop band called Peculiar Remedies, the one that I mentioned earlier.
Okay. And then talk about that as well. When did you start that? And tell me about the progression of that band.
I think that we started it probably in 4 years before we recorded the album. So maybe in 94, 95. It's very hazy. It's a long time ago.
Sorry.
Probably around 95. And there were 4 of us, and it was, we just, it's just, I don't know, it's just the evolution of all bands. A bunch of friends sit together with a bunch of instruments. Someone starts playing a chord or a lick. The other person starts adding on it, layering, and then the singer sings a ditty. Maybe there's some words. We record it, and then we go home and think about it. Maybe the singer or whoever it is that writes the melody thinks about it some more. And then we come back the next week and we jam again, and then a song is formulated, So that's how we wrote our songs. And it's slightly different from the rock band that I'm with today, but that's how we used to write the songs in Peculiar Remedies.
Okay. And you were the composer and the lyricist as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all contributed. There were different songs where the guitarist Chris Toll wrote the music and lyrics.
Oh, Chris! I'm going to try and bring him on to the show next week.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him. What question should I ask him next week?
You should ask him how he writes songs and whether he still writes songs today, and whether he's coming to my album launch. That's what you should ask him. Yeah.
Yes, we'll make him. Okay, so
yeah, so different parts of the band wrote different things, and there were some songs that I wrote the melody and the music and the words. There were some songs where I only wrote the melody. So there was a different combination. And in Peculiar Remedies, there were 2 lead singers, meaning there was me, and then some songs Leonard Ng took the lead.
Right,
and Leonard. Yeah, I mean, and we gradually, naturally disbanded. Everybody in Singapore bands, that's what happens to Singapore bands.
Yeah, that's
You move away, you go to London, people go to different countries, they have different jobs, they get married, and everything slowly
you know what? I mean, I think it's
disbands.
There was like a golden age, right, of Singapore bands. I think that there was that period. It had a certain nice sound. You had Art Fazil, you had you guys. AWOL.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
I remember.
It was. And it's probably especially seared into your mind because you were a child growing up listening to all this music.
Oh yeah. No, I have only good things to remember about that.
I mean, there was a very special recording company that signed on more local artists, Singapore artists.
Was it Growl?
Nope, it was Pony Canyon.
Pony Canyon, right.
It was Pony Canyon. They signed on a lot of Singaporean artists. They never made any money from it, but they continued to do so because for some reason they believed in Singapore musicians.
Yeah, and I think
that was probably the golden age, the second golden age, because the first golden age was in the 60s where radio was playing a lot of Singapore music. Where
I hope it comes back and I hope we can encourage that.
I've been waiting a long time, Nikki.
Yeah. Maybe with all of us giving the encouragement and people who've done it before can give their advice and everything, I think we can give it the old college try,
Yeah. I mean, I think no college and because of podcasts like this, we get our music heard, and that's great.
Absolutely.
But national radio in Singapore is not supportive of local musicians at all.
We'll make our voice louder and louder.
We hope so. Yeah.
I want to ask you now before we get to the big Dim Sum Dollies, but is there anything? There was Cabaret. You did a single woman, and that a trio performance with Selena Tan. There's Boing Boing, which is great as well.
Yeah. Well, before that, I mean, 2001, I played Joanne in Rent. So that was musical. It was a collaboration between a Singaporean and Filipino
It's
cast.
2 years
So
after Haunted. So I know
yeah,
that's Rent is a big undertaking. So can you
yeah.
talk a little bit about that?
I mean, it was very, very daunting. The deal was there was going to be a Filipino cast, and we all know Filipinos can
You're
sing,
right.
with four Singaporean actors to make it a collaboration. So we went to Manila to rehearse the play, I mean the musical, and then we flew everyone over to Singapore to perform the musical. So
Wow.
rehearse in Manila, perform in Singapore. This was very daunting because the songs that Joanne has are amazing and also quite difficult to sing. And
What
when
period are we talking? Like, what span of months is this? Were you working on this?
2001, I think we were probably in Manila for about a month.
Okay.
And then they came to Singapore and we performed for 3 weeks.
Now,
I mean,
how did you get the role?
I auditioned.
And how can you remember how that audition went?
No, I cannot. I all I remember is that I got the role. And I remember going to Manila. I mean, this was my great Filipino connection. Because of this musical, I have many, many Filipino friends whom I still keep in contact with today, whom I still see when they come to Singapore for a holiday or I go to Manila. But I remember the first day of rehearsals in Manila with the Rent cast. Now, this Filipino cast, they had performed Rent once before together
Okay.
in Manila. So for some reason, I don't know how they booted out four of the characters and then they got four Singaporean actors to come in. I remember sitting there during the first sing through and thinking to myself, what am I doing here?
Oh no.
Because these Filipino singers are insane. They are. I am not in this league. What am I doing here? I remember feeling very, very inadequate compared to the great Filipino talents that were in the room. And but we had a special weapon called Asha Edmund. I don't know what she's up to these days, but she had this little Indian girl from Singapore had a voice on her. She really, really had a voice, and she was given the solo in Seasons of Love,
Okay.
which is the big song from Rent,
Yeah.
and so that big black voice that you hear on the Broadway recording, yeah, that was her. I mean, as in that was the voice that Asha sang. And when it came to that part, which was Act 2, Scene 1, so all of us were feeling very defeated after singing through the whole of Act 1. But then it came to Act 2, Scene 1, and Asha stood up and she did her solo, and I was like, oh my God, the Singaporeans are redeemed. Redeemed. Oh, thank you, Asha. Thank you.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, Rent was a very, very special experience. I think anybody who has ever been in the cast of Rent will tell you that it's a very, very special musical to be a part of the cast of. Yeah.
Were you very familiar with Broadway before you attempted?
No, I wasn't, and I still am not familiar with Broadway. I mean, I'll be the first to put my hand up and say that I'm an actor and a musical performer who is probably the most unfamiliar with what's happening on Broadway and the West End. I always have to refer to my more educated theater friends for recommendations. Yeah.
Well, that didn't stop you because you went on to Cabaret. Can you talk about that?
Well, Cabaret was put together by Selena, and she put together three good friends, herself, me, and Emma Yong, for the opening of the Esplanade. It was a late night show. I remember that I was performing Boing Boing at the same time, and but Cabaret happened at like 10:30 at night. It was a late night show.
Okay.
So what I did was that I performed Boing Boing from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. and every night I would get in a car, somebody would be driving and I'd be changing in the car to my next costume. This is like one of those, in Singapore we have those hungry ghost months,
Right.
where people change in cars. Well, I felt like that. I was changing in cars. Oh, and I'm reminded that Emma Yong was also in Boing Boing. So both of us were in the back seat changing into a cabaret, a single woman's costumes. So it was a wild success, this cabaret. And so the following year, Selena decided to give us a name, and we were named the Dim Sum Dollies.
That was the genesis of
Yes,
how it all started.
It was the
Was it the
genesis.
first time you worked with either one of them?
No, no, I worked with them before, in acting roles, other musicals, but basically Cabaret brought us together. And when she decided to, because the Cabaret, A Single Woman, was only ran for 3 nights.
Okay.
It was the opening of the Esplanade,
Okay.
and it was completely sold out. So Selena thought that this has legs, and she wanted to let more people see it. So we basically consolidated again, edited what we thought didn't work from the last show, and then padded it up with more skits. And that became the first incarnation of the Dim Sum Dollies in 2003 in a show called Steaming.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
2003, directed by Ivan Heng, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how did that, so who put that, like the music and the lyrics and everything? Oh,
Well, it's always been that Selena writes the lyrics,
Okay.
the basic lyrics of all the songs. Elaine Chan has always written the music for us. Elaine and Selena went to secondary school together.
okay.
But what happens in a Dim Sum Dollies rehearsal room is that we workshop the lyrics and music a lot.
Okay.
So sometimes we feel that there are too many syllables. No, this is not funny. This actually should be the first verse instead of the second. And this whole entire verse is just repeating what we said in the scene. So we shouldn't sing it like that. So
Right.
a lot of stuff is worked out and edited on the floor
Right.
when in the rehearsal room. So Selena does
Do you
the
enjoy
skeleton.
that? Do you love the creative, the cutting and
I do. I do very much. It's very rewarding, but it also can be very, very frustrating if we can't find something that we love or we all like,
Right.
But the Dim Sum Dollies, has been said in many interviews before, that between Selena, Emma, and myself, we're pretty brutal with each other because we're such good friends. We don't mince our words.
Yep.
And because we don't mince our words and there are no niceties, and because we're so close, outsiders who are observing us work often think that we hate each other's guts.
No kidding.
But we don't. We don't. We love each other, but we'll just be really cut and dry and just go, no, that doesn't work. That's not funny at all. We
Yeah.
just say it straight out. It's like, no, that's stupid. That's just a dumb idea, We'll say, like, really cut to the chase. But because we are so honest with each other and we cut to the chase, I feel that the work we save a lot of time by not going into niceties. But at the same time, of course, sometimes we can really piss each other off. But I think the reason we can't piss each other off is because we know that at the base of it, we love each other so much.
Right.
So we're confident when we just speak our mind. Because it's never personal, it's about the work. It's always about the work.
How is the voices? So you were an alto. What about Emma and Selena?
Emma was the soprano and Selena was the mezzo soprano. So
Okay.
I was like the bass. Yeah.
You've had Dim Sum Dollies in Steaming, The Revenge of the Dim Sum Dollies in The Little Shop
Yeah.
of Horrors.
Yeah.
Can you just briefly talk about Steaming? Because that was the first one, the start of it all.
Mm-hmm.
What can you give me just a description of that, just that memory of that performance?
Well, it was in a Jubilee Hall at the Raffles Hotel. It was a 400-seater. And I remember the opening scene, 3 of us were in a giant dim sum basket. And there was a smoke machine with us inside the basket, and it was on. So we were fogged out completely inside, but it looks like the basket is steaming, right?
Yeah.
And basically the basket opens and we in our candy colored wigs would step out of it. And I remember, well, just before the basket opens, everything's really dark and it's obviously a giant basket, but we're still super close to each other. My face is like pressing against, Emma's, and Emma's is pressing against Selena. So we're really tight, literally really tight in a basket. So that was that show sold very well, and it was completely sold out. And then fast forward to the next year, where we wrote a new show, a new cabaret for the Dim Sum Dollies called The Revenge of the Dim Sum Dollies. Selena was late in her booking of the theatre,
Right.
so she couldn't find a slot for the Jubilee Hall. It was completely booked out. And she looked at other theaters, and everything was completely booked out because she was late, that girl. And the only theater available for the time frame that we wanted was the Esplanade Theater, which was a huge theater. It was a 2,000-seater. And we told her, you can't do that. You can't book a 2,000-seater.
How big is the Jubilee Hall?
400.
Oh, wow. So it's a big, major step up.
Big. Yes. So we said, you can't do that. But she said, I'm going to do it. And she did it. And the publicity went out. And on the first night of Revenge, I remember it was completely sold out.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And I remember being behind a black screen. So a black screen is like the audience can't see us, but we can see the audience before the show.
Right.
So we are on a platform, and I am in some ridiculous swimming costume with sequins type outfit. And I remember hearing the audience of 2,000 people chattering before the show, and I thought to myself, oh my God, 2,000 people chattering before a show sounds very different from 400 people chattering before a show. And my knees were knocking against each other. I was so nervous. And the curtains went up, and I think...
Had you done something comparable like to that in your straight theater before then?
Never. And that was, because we're a comedy trio, that was the first experience of me. You know, when you say a punchline, when you deliver a punchline, and you get 2,000 persons' laughter coming at you, you are the recipient of a very, very positive kind of energy. Laughter is a very, very positive kind of energy. So as a performer, when you tell a joke and they laugh and you receive this laughter of 2,000 people, it's a very, very special and privileged position to be in.
Once the show started, did you immediately just get in the zone?
I think it took me probably about 2 songs to get into the zone.
Yeah.
And then if you've ever seen a Dim Sum Dollies show before, you will know that other things take over, because we have 15-second costume changes, including wigs, and you have no time to be thinking about nervousness or anything other than not being naked for the next scene.
Right.
So you have to go backstage. It's a war zone. People are tearing clothes off you. They're putting clothes on you. They're putting wigs on you. And then everything has to be done in silence and really, really swiftly. And then you're out there doing the next skit in a different character.
Right.
So once the show gets going, there's really little time to think about anything else except, where's my next entrance? Where's my next exit?
Right.
At which number do I do this dance step? Yeah.
And then the choreography, who did the choreography for that?
Oh, the very first Dim Sum Dollies for steaming was a choreographer called Richard Tan.
Okay.
Yeah. And then for steaming, I believe it was... for steaming it was Richard Tan. For Revenge, I believe it was a Filipino choreographer called Edric Adralin.
Right. I want to switch gears now and talk a little bit about the rock band. We're kind of jumping between musical theater and rock music and band, because you kind of had this twin music career going on at the same time. Now, while the Dim Sum Dollies is going on, band-wise, what's happening for you around that period in your life?
It's dead. It's dead. So Peculiar Remedies released the album in 1999, and we kind of just died after that because different people went in different directions. And for quite a few years, nothing happened on the band front. However, I would probably say that music, by music I mean singing with a band to a live audience, is probably my first love. There's nothing quite like it.
It's how you started, right?
Yeah, it is how I started. Yeah. But to be live on stage, everyone playing musical instruments at the same time and singing to a crowd, is a completely different feeling from performing in a musical, which is so highly rehearsed. What's
the difference, if you could articulate it?
I think that in a musical, you rehearse over 6 weeks for 8 hours a day, and you are very prepared by the time the curtains go up for the performance. But with a live band, of course you rehearse, but I don't know. There is
Is there an element of improvisation that's a little bit freer with the band?
a little bit, but I would say that it's the sound of a live band, and you singing into a microphone, which is a wired microphone or a vocal microphone, is
Right.
very different from the sound of a musical where the microphone is pasted to your face. You know,
Right.
it's much rawer. It's much more raw, and it's much more in your face when you sing in a band. So there's something very forward about music when you play in a band, whereas in a musical, it's highly engineered. It has to be highly engineered because you have to hear the words, and it has to be rehearsed, and you have technical rehearsals, and you have to choreograph it with lights. You have to stand in this spot, okay, this spot. Otherwise, you will not be seen when you do your dance step. You have to go to this spot when you do this line. You know, it's very technical and very rehearsed. Whereas in a band, it's just more organic, and everything is just more in your face and more up close and personal.
Was Now let's talk about Ugly in the Morning. That band, you actually joined that in 2013. Could you talk about the history of that band?
Sure. That is the name of my current band, Ugly in the Morning. Isn't that a great name? So, Ugly in the Morning, I had been a fan of theirs for many years. They started in 1999, but I only joined them in 2013. And what happened was their lead singer left for personal reasons, and they put out a call for a new lead singer. I know very well two members of this band, so I texted one of them, my oldest friend, Noel, and I've known him since I was 6 years old, Nikki,
Wow.
when you were a thought in the air.
I was floating around the
You were
ether.
floating around in the air, yeah. So I called him up and I said, hey, can I audition? And, you know, being one of my oldest friends, he said to me, wow, I mean, we never thought of a female lead singer before. In fact, his exact words were, wow, I never thought of a chick as a lead singer before. He paused for a while and then he said, oh my God, you're a chick. Ha 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 ha. And he burst out laughing because he just thought of me before that as a sexless being.
Oh my goodness.
So I auditioned, and then I left the room. I let the boys have their little conference. A week later, they called me and they said, okay, we liked your audition, but this is how our band works. The band, meaning two guitars, one bass, and one the drums, they come up with instrumental, basically, an instrumental of a rock groove with kind of like a verse, a chorus, and then maybe a bridge, and guitar solos, of course. Guitar solos, very important.
Right.
And so it's basically a whole instrumental of like a complete song, like a skeleton of a complete song. They hand it over to their vocalist, who then writes the melody and the tune.
Oh, wow.
This instrumental.
So you have the chords at least.
Yeah. So this was a whole new different way of songwriting than I was used to when I was with Peculiar Remedies.
Yep.
I didn't have to play the freaking guitar. Somebody already plays the freaking guitar and then gives me the entire song as an instrumental.
Okay.
So they said, but we don't know what you can write. And that's very important for the lead singer duties in this band. I'm like, that's a lot of duty for lead singing, for a lead singer. So I said, okay. So they gave me a whole bunch of the instrumentals and they said, so do one, just do one. Take whichever one speaks to you, and then just write a melody and some lyrics, and then let's hear it when you're ready. So I think I went away for about 2 weeks, and I wrote a song called Big Shoes, which is in the album that we've just about to release. It was called Big Shoes, and I went in, I sang it for them, and then they kind of all had poker faces on, and they just went, okay, all right, so we'll get back to you. I'm like, okay. They really gave nothing away.
Poker face.
Yeah, totally poker face. And then I think 3 days later, Noel called me and said, hey man, you're in. We loved it, and I was so happy.
Wow, awesome. What was the band like before you
Before me, they had already released two albums
Okay.
with a lead singer called Eric Lee,
Okay.
and then I guess he was just not interested in
Was it like
making.
it's a funk rock kind of band?
It's a funk rock band,
Cool.
yeah, absolutely. So very groovy rhythm and grooves and very catchy melodies. Actually,
Who are the members of the band?
we have Noel on guitars, David Baptista on guitars,
Cool.
Clement Young on bass. So these are the three core founding members of Ugly in the Morning.
Okay.
And about a year and a half after I joined, our drummer Lincoln left, and we had to audition for another drummer.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and so we auditioned a few, and then Joseph Salim joined us in 2015. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
And when I first joined Ugly in the Morning, David, Noel, and Clement asked whether I would like the name of the band changed.
Okay.
Now, I thought it was because, oh, it's so sweet. They're called Ugly in the Morning, and they feel that maybe I would be uncomfortable with that name for whatever reason, because I'm a girl and I don't want to be known
Right.
as Ugly in the Morning. That's what I thought. So I said, dudes, you guys have UITM, which is the logo, I mean, the initials of the band,
Yeah.
tattooed on your bodies. Okay?
Really?
Yes, they do. I'm
Oh,
not going
wow.
to change the freaking band name. Well, no, just stick to Ugly in the Morning. It's a great name. And but I found out recently that they didn't offer to change the band name because of those reasons. They offered to change the band name because they felt that with the departure of the lead singer, they just wanted a brand new start.
Right. Right.
And they yeah. So basically,
You like the name?
I like the name, and I overcredited them for being sweet. They were not sweet at all. They didn't think about me at all. Yeah.
Now I want you to talk about the new album that's about to be released on
Yeah.
April 14, right?
That's right.
Okay, so talk about the album. Who wrote the songs? Just talk about it, the recording process and everything.
Yeah, so this album has been 5 years in the making, which is pretty
5 years. Wow.
5 years, yeah. So I mean, in Singapore, it's tough to be a full-time musician playing your own stuff.
Yeah.
Number one, local radio stations don't play it unless you are a big pop band that is backed by some label. Indie music very seldom gets heard in Singapore on the radio.
Right.
We used to have a radio station called Lush, which closed down in August last year, which championed Singapore music and played a lot of Singapore music. But they closed down, sadly, because they didn't have enough listeners. So now
It's a shame.
and now we're back to the situation which we were at 20 years ago, where we're still begging radio stations to play our music. But what happens with this band is how I described. They got me on as their lead singer, and then they threw me like 15 instrumental tracks, because these were tracks that they had already written, and Eric, the ex-singer, had already written melodies and lyrics too. But they
Okay.
basically chucked all his melody and lyrics
Just start
and
fresh. Is that right?
start fresh. So I've never heard. So what's going to be interesting is that after the album launches, I have decided to listen to what Eric wrote, to the
Oh, that'd be
exact same
cool.
instrumentals.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm told by the boys that it's completely different from what he wrote.
Wow.
And it'll be interesting for me to listen to it, but I haven't.
Would, yeah.
Yeah. So the reason that it has taken 5 years to formulate this album is because we all don't do it full time.
Right.
We can't do it full time because we've got to eat. So one's a teacher, one's somebody who works with HR, one is a full-time basis who also owns a bar, and my day job is being an actor.
Right. Right.
I'm a masochist that way. I to punish myself. So between my acting job, sometimes when I'm rehearsing a play, I'm away for 2 months. I can't dedicate any time to the band, and then someone gets married, someone has a child.
Right.
Different things happen. So it just took a long time for us to really get this all right.
How long did it take for you to write the 10 original
probably
tunes.
about
You didn't write 15. Did you cut it down to 10?
10. Yeah,
And you
I
left.
wrote 10.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, we wrote 11, and we decided to keep the next one for the next album.
Okay.
So
Can you,
because this album has been 5 years in the making, especially David, Noel, and Clement, who are the original members of the band, they are dying to make new music.
right.
Yeah. So yeah, but all 10 songs, they gave me the instrumental, and I wrote all the melodies and I wrote all the lyrics, with the exception of one song called Sliding, which is something that I wrote in 2001 by myself. So
Okay.
what the band has done is that they've taken my song and they have completely rearranged it, and I love the new arrangement. Love the new arrangement.
The album is 3 or More if you can afford it, and it's launching
Yeah.
April 14th, 8
Yeah.
o'clock at the Esplanade Next Studio.
That's
and
right.
I still want to talk a little bit more about the individual tracks,
Yeah,
but
and
let's talk about
tickets are available from ptix.com.
absolutely. You have an opening act, the great Jack and Rye. I know these guys. They're
Yeah,
just great,
yeah.
great singers.
They are.
They're so wonderful and experienced.
They are.
Let's talk about the individual tracks. I want to get into that. So
Sure.
let's really talk about this
So,
album. I
we
want to
just
promote it.
mentioned Jack and Ray, and Jack
Yeah.
and Ray, they're an opening act. You know, Jack and Ray are very famous cover guitar duo. They do a
Yeah.
lot of covers, but for this opening act, they are singing only their originals.
Oh wow! I like this
Yeah.
trend. This is a great trend.
So we're very, very happy and very proud that Jack and Ray will be singing only originals to open for us.
That's
very
fantastic.
privileged.
This is a great trend. I like it, and we should really encourage this as much as we can. Enough
Yes,
of
we
these
should.
covers. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, man. Oh, my goodness.
Enough. It's not like these covers are like any more sophisticated than anything else. I mean, I
Yeah.
teach music, and most of these songs are like 4 chords anyway. So anybody could write these songs. Why can't
Yeah.
Singaporeans? You know, we
Yeah.
keep importing a lot of music overseas, but it's
Yeah.
gone to the point where listen, it's not like we don't have the knowledge to write our
You're
own
right.
songs. You know.
Yeah, and you know, Nikhil, it's also very frustrating for me as a musician to know that in neighboring countries like Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, even radio stations mandate that X number of local songs are played per hour. You know, they actually mandate that a certain number of songs by their local musicians have to be played on air every hour. And it has just escaped me why in my 20 years of doing this, it's so difficult for local Singapore radio to do the same.
Yeah.
It's no skin off anybody's back to play one local song every 2 hours, for example, one made in Singapore song every 2 hours.
Right. Right.
It doesn't hurt anybody, and in fact, it will help the industry, and it will actually help Singaporean listeners get used to the fact that hey, we have talent here. Stuff that we can make that, hey, you can't tell the difference. If you heard on radio, you will not know whether this is Singaporean. And that's the whole point. Music is music, right? It doesn't matter where it's made, yeah.
Exactly. It should be judged on its quality, and there's
Absolutely.
major promotion. I read somewhere that the actual production of some of these songs that are on the radio, the budget is maybe more geared to the marketing rather than the actual recording itself.
Yeah, I'm not
And
surprised.
It's
Not
they
surprised.
spend massive amounts of money on promotion. Really, it's all about promotion.
It
because
is.
if you have all that marketing muscle, people will listen to you because it's
Yes.
shoved in front of their faces.
You're right. I mean, Noel, our guitarist, recently said in another interview that he said that it's about repetition. You know, if you play a song on the radio often enough, you hear it the third time, you start to remember it,
Right.
and then you start to hum it, and then you start to know it, and then you start to
Exactly.
request for it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly.
So we don't have that kind of marketing muscle, and the radio stations are not helping by not playing it at all.
You know, and maybe one thing we can take heart in is the internet has kind of democratized the
Yeah.
airwaves
Yeah.
in a small way. You know, now you can
I-
upload, and if it gets viral,
Totally.
you know,
Totally.
no label can stop you from your hit going viral. So
Totally. I mean, I recently talked to the manager of a local radio station, and I said, hey, look, I know that today we have the option to just release it online, and we don't have to go through we have options. We don't have to go through a radio station, but it means so much for a national radio station to play the music of a Singaporean musician.
Right,
And
right.
it speaks volumes when you don't. You know, it just is about it's just about what you believe in and whether
Right.
you back your local
It's a
talent.
cultural thing too, and I think one of the reasons I started the show is to change the culture in a positive direction to originality and creativity. And I
Yeah,
really think it's a good idea for people to have the culture of saying, wait a second, okay, I can just take what they give me from a massive corporation, or I can have an independent idea of what that there could be something else from from what they're
yeah,
telling me.
absolutely.
And I loved that in that period in the 90s, and I'm sure it was the same in the 60s, where you had these original bands, people you could
Yeah,
touch. They were just right there, an arm's length away, playing
yeah,
great music, just as good as what you heard on the radio. Because come
yeah,
on, rock music and pop music, and
yeah,
it's not like back in the old days where we didn't have the technology to do
yeah,
that. We have the technology, we have the talent, and
yeah,
you can definitely do it anywhere.
absolutely.
Absolutely, I tell students is that just because you're born in a certain place, you're not just because you're not born in America, it doesn't mean you can't play jazz, you can't play rock or funk or blues. Just look
Yeah,
at all the great musicians that come from all over the world. That nothing stopped them.
yeah,
And you can, wherever you're from, and especially in Singapore, where we have this habit of just wholesale just buying whatever they give us. They say,
yeah,
oh, it must be great because it's from America or it's from the
correct,
UK, but it's
correct.
not always the case. When I went to Berkeley in Boston, I,
Yep,
I would tell people, look, there's some great guys in Singapore. Check out Paul Ponadure.
yeah,
Admittedly he's from Malaysia, but he's from that
he
region.
is.
He's worked in Singapore many
Oh,
years.
Paul Ponadure was a legend.
A
Yeah,
legend. I mean, Tommy Emmanuel said he was great. So
yeah,
that's the case. You can be from anywhere and you can be great, and we should have an open ear for things. And
yeah,
that's
definitely.
the thing. I say. This is one big thing that it grips me is like kids nowadays, young kids. I teach them. They say, is it famous? That's their first question. Is it
Yeah,
famous? And that's that's something we need to change in the culture. It doesn't matter if it's famous. Is it good? That's the main question.
yeah. So, I mean, recently I was we were asked to go on a local radio show to be interviewed. And it was going to be a live session, as in they're going to telecast it live via Facebook.
Wow.
And they're going to feature a local band. And then they asked me whether our band, which is about to launch a whole album of 10 original songs, not an EP, a whole full blown album.
Right. Yeah.
They asked us whether we could play a mix of originals and covers. And I
Wait,
said,
they asked you to do covers?
yes. And I said,
What?
why? Why would I do a cover on your short half an hour show when I'm about to launch a whole album of original songs? Why would I do a cover? If
Right.
Ed Sheeran were to come on your radio station, would you ask him to play some covers?
Right. It's crazy.
So anyway, shortly after that, I mean, all that disappeared because they decided that our sound, our funk rock sound, wasn't appealing to their station identity. So they pulled the interview altogether. But I thought to myself, if that had really gone through and they asked me to play a cover, I would have then chosen to play the cover of another song from a Singaporean
That would
band.
have been great. Yeah.
I would have chosen a humpback oak song. You know what I mean?
You know what you
Like
can
some,
do? They won't know, so you could just cover and you just say, you know what, we're gonna do a cover, and it's
yeah.
actually your song. That would have been great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll just actually do a cover of a Singaporean band,
Yeah.
and that would be so cool. So
You know what'd
anyway,
be funny is if you chose one of the songs of your album and say, "All right,
this
this
is a
is
cover.
this is from Ed Sheeran. It's just yours. It's just your song." They do
No,
that.
I think they would know if it was Ed Sheeran.
You know what? No, but that would make such great news. It'll be hilarious. This band.
Yeah, or if I said I just throw some name, like some old name, like George Clinton and Parliament. Yeah.
Okay, now I just I'm running out of time. I want to ask you about a few tracks, specific
sure.
tracks from the album.
Sure.
And I don't have a track list. Where can I get the track list? It's not released yet, right? So I can't see it.
Released yet. Okay, so I can tell you very briefly. Mighty Monster is the first track on the album, and
Okay.
that's out there. The first single we've released, it's on YouTube. We have the lyric video out there. It's called Mighty Monster. That's about all the little demons that live in our heads that bug each of us. Each of us have a mighty monster that we need to fight against all the time. Some of us more often than others.
Right.
There's Big Shoes, which is the song that I auditioned with. and I got the job with big
Cool.
shoes. There's something called You Snooze, You Lose. This was written for a friend who is a depressive. And people who have depression, if I don't know if you're familiar, but a lot of time when they're down, they stay in bed. They stay in bed, and it's really, really hard to get them out of bed. And they can stay in bed all day long.
Yeah.
So basically, I think this was a song, You Snooze, You Lose, written out of frustration, trying to get a friend to get out there into the light.
Right, right.
Breathless was a song that I wrote for my son. I mean, I think I wrote it for him when he was around 3. He's 7 now, but when he was 3 years old, he was just couldn't stop moving. So I just kept running after him, and it left me breathless. But very often when I looked at him, it left me breathless because he took my breath away in the sense that I didn't know how this wonderful little human being came into my life.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I was quite
How
in
old is he
awe.
now?
He's 7. So I'm quite in awe of the fact that I'm his mother. Hey Baby is just a typical lovers quarrel kind of song where it's like, hey, what you doing, man? What's going wrong? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me?
Right.
What's wrong with us? Kind of song. Riot City is the 6th track on the album. That's a song that we wrote for Unlucky Plaza, which is a Singaporean movie,
Right.
directed and written by my husband, Ken Kwek.
Okay.
So Ken and I had been fans of Ugly in the Morning way before I became the lead singer. And after I did, he was directing this movie called Unlucky Plaza, and he needed a rock song to start the movie. His inspiration was like a James Bond, James Bond
right,
has big rousing rock song that
Right,
starts.
right.
Yeah, so that
John
was his
Barry,
inspiration. Yeah, so he wanted a big rock song. So we wrote Riot City for that purpose. Track 7 is Emma Dreaming. And I wrote this song for the late Emma Yong, who was a Dim Sum Dolly. She died in 2012 of stomach cancer. It was very tragic. And
A big talent.
A huge talent, yeah. And I think it was I guess it was a cathartic way for me to release some of my sadness, also my anger. Anger meaning I was mad at her for leaving. So many different emotions. And this song is about my internal struggle about remembering her every detail. But every time I remember her every detail, like her little frown, her little laugh, or her smell, it would also hurt me because she's not there anymore.
Right.
So yeah.
How old was she when she passed on?
She was. Let me think. She died in 2012, so she was 37.
Oh, that's way too young.
Yeah, she had stomach cancer. It was very, very difficult because we worked on so many shows together, and we're really close. So it was. So Emma Dreaming is dedicated and written for her, dedicated to her. Track 8 is Sliding. It's a song that I wrote in 2001 about a heartbreak, which the Uglies then took on and rearranged, the new arrangement I love. You Can't Touch Me. You Can't Touch Me Now. Track 9 is I actually wrote it for someone who was kind of like coming out of an abusive relationship. But the more I look at the lyrics and the more we tweaked it, it's actually a gay activist song. It's for the LGBT community.
I see.
It's about how if you come out and you are proud of who you are, nothing can touch you.
Right.
So if you're in the shadows and you're hiding all the time, then people can hurt you. But if you're proud about who you are and you've done nothing wrong, then nothing can touch you. So that's basically what this song is about. And my final song, our final song on the album, the 10th track, is called No Such Thing as Magic. And that is kind of written in response to There are some pastors in Singapore who are also magicians.
Oh, okay.
And there are some pastors who are in jail right now.
Right. We can reference
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
the City Harvest
correct.
scandal that broke
Yeah,
out.
and then there's one other pastor, the only pastor in Singapore that's also actually does magic shows. So
Oh,
I think yes, you can reference that too. There's only one pastor, and so I think this was a response to religion, kind of pulling the wool over the sheep's eyes, you know.
there's some
So
heavy themes in the album.
yeah, there's some very private and personal themes for friends, and there are also some very heavy
This is what I
themes.
like. I love it. There's some real substance in this whole album. There's a real, you really poured your heart into this. And
Yeah, I did. I mean, Noel has said that in other interviews. He said that with Eric, he was very introspective in his lyrics, and
Yeah,
there was nothing wrong with that. It's very introspective. It's very personal.
yeah.
Whereas for me, I have
You seem to
actually
take big
some
themes.
social issues.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've discussed some social issues. Actually, going back to Riot City, which is the song that we wrote for Unlucky Plaza, that was inspired by the Little India riots that happened some years ago.
Right, right.
So we actually wrote the song before the Little India riots happened, but when it happened, we were like, oh my God, prophetic.
Let
Yeah.
me ask you two quick questions. Hardest song to write, easiest song to write, from a musical standpoint.
Easiest song to write was by far Big Shoes, because that's the first song I wrote for them. They gave me a whole bunch of instrumentals, right? That was the one that spoke to me. So Big Shoes was the easiest. And I think the hardest to write was You Snooze, You Lose, which was the one about depression. And I don't think it was the lyrics. It was just some melodies come faster at me.
Yeah.
And You Snooze, You Lose was just one of those melodies that took weeks and weeks and weeks of me sitting on it, recording several melodies into my phone and then trashing it in the morning, recording new ones, trashing it in the morning.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Well, Pam, thank you for coming on the show. I want to ask you actually another quick question before we end off.
Sure.
Can you name a couple of local musicians you really like?
Back in the day, I really, really liked Humpback Oak.
Okay.
Right. They're disbanded, but Leslie, the lead singer, has gone on to form the Observatory, which is also very popular.
Yeah.
But I think that my current favorite singer-songwriter has got to be Charlie Lim. He writes incredible music. I am in awe of this boy's talent. So I really, really like his art.
Fantastic.
He takes a long time to shape his music and songs, and I really appreciate that. But I really do like Charlie Lim in the millennial category.
Well, Pam, thank you so much for doing the show. I'm really excited about your album. You've sold it to me in a
Thank
big
you.
way. And I'm definitely going to promote it on my show. And I think we should highly encourage more people to listen to the music around you, because there's there's great music just outside your pond, really, so to
Yeah.
speak. And
Yeah.
it's really not just for Singapore, really everywhere. We don't have to be slaves to just a couple of big labels that give us their music. I mean, no matter what country you're in, if you just looked across just your immediate vicinity, there are going to be great musicians there who will probably have stories to tell that will probably connect with you closer, because they live on the same place that you live on.
Yeah,
So,
correct.
I'm looking forward to this album. It sounds like a blast. That show on the 14th is going to be it's going to be fantastic.
Thank you,
Are you
Nikhil.
guys getting some how's your rehearsals going for that one?
It's going great. We in the recording, I recorded all my harmonies myself, but for the album launch concert, we've got two human being backup singers.
Noel and
who are
Clement,
great
right?
singers. No, we have two extra female backup singers,
Oh, wow.
Laura and Candice Rosario, who will be backing us up.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tremendous show. I highly encourage. It's at the Esplanade NX Studio, Saturday, April 14th, 8 p.m. Go check it out.
Yeah, tickets
thank-
from P6. Thank you.
That's right. Pam, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Nikhil.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.